Now we will study transportation in unicellular organisms, right? I'm sure when all of you think of an unicellular organism, the first thing that comes to our mind is an
Amoeba, ma'am.
Correct. Very good. So the first thing, it's the most simplest. Unicellular means it has only one cell, not much of complication. So the first thing that comes to our mind is amoeba. And quite rightly, it should come because it is easier to understand concepts when we take the example of amoeba. Okay. Priscilla, can you please read the first portion?
Yes, ma'am. In unicellular organisms, transportation of substances happen through diffusion and osmosis. Gases move in and out of the cell by diffusion. Other substances move by osmosis.
Correct. Very good. Okay. So basically, we must be wondering that how does transportation happen in amoeba? It doesn't have a circulatory system. It doesn't have a excretory system. It doesn't have a respiratory system. So these are the most basic kind of living organism. So if we have to understand any system, it is best understood from an amoeba. They have a very simple way. What do they have? They have semi-permeable membrane, right? So basically you find amoeba in water, right? It's an aquatic unicellular organism. So if it has to take, I'm just giving you an example. If it has to take oxygen, so oxygen will enter inside the amoeba through the semi-permeable membrane, right? If it has to engulf, most of the time it will eat its food in the form of a pseudopoda, right? So it will create false feet and then again
Pseudopodium.
Yeah, pseudopodium. So it will create a false feet and then again engulf the food. That is how it eats. But then again, most of the time, its transportation happens directly, from the uh, semi-permeable membrane. For example, in case of human beings or animals, they have this thing called urine, they have sweat, they have stools, right? In case of urine, how does waste material transport? They again happen through the cell membrane only. Whatever they have to intake, they don't have a separate mouth, they don't have a separate lungs. Whatever transportation happens through the cell membrane. The cell membrane is semi-permeable, as in it allows or it permits the entry or exit of certain materials and certain gases. It could be liquid, it could be gases, but of course not solid. Okay. Now, Syed, can you please read out diffusion? What is diffusion? Read out the diffusion part.
Yes, ma'am. Diffusion, random motion of particles in order to attain equilibrium of concentration is called diffusion. Diffusion can be observed in many aspects of day-to-day life. The aroma of food comes from the kitchen because of diffusion. A pleasant smell of flowers comes because of diffusion. Bad odor of garbage comes because of diffusion. Particles move from region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration.
Correct. Thank you. Thank you, Anna. So basically, I hope all of you have understood what is diffusion, right? Diffusion is nothing but basically, it happens mainly with gases, right? Gas particles or gas molecules. So diffusion, one point of difference from diffusion and osmosis. You will be reading both today. So always remember, diffusion is with gases and osmosis is with liquids. Okay, so this is one major point of difference between diffusion and osmosis. So in diffusion, what happens, as Arna read out, for example, your mom is cooking cooking a delicacy, right? She's put a lot of flavors and garam masala and, aromatics like oregano and, thyme, basil, she's added a lot of those aromatics We call them aromatics. Aromatics matlab anything that has got a good aroma, right? So what will happen is that because it gets heated up, right? I'm just giving you an example of dhania patta, coriander leaves. Huh? Why do coriander leaves have a beautiful smell? As in not beautiful, but a pleasant smell. For that matter, any sweet smelling flower like a jasmine. What happens is that, they have certain cells. They have certain specialized cells, right? If you crush a coriander leaf in your hand, what will happen is that those cells burst and, they release certain chemicals, right? Certain phenols, certain chemicals, which, will again diffuse and reach till your nose. Actually, it surrounds the air around it. Because we take our nose close to the coriander leaf or the flower, we get to smell it faster. Similarly, with a flower, the petals of a flower has, certain cells which has got, which store certain chemicals in it, right? So if you come close to a flower, if you try and smell a flower, you will get the aroma. And if you try and crush the flower petals with your hands, you will get a stronger aroma. Because then if you crush, the cells, will burst, and, there are certain phenols which get discharged. And it will surround, as in the aroma will diffuse in the surrounding air. And when the air reaches your nose, you will also get the aroma, right? Similarly, when your mom is cooking something, for example, she uses the same dhania patta. She uses the same dhania patta and she puts it in a bowl of maybe paneer. She's cooking paneer. The paneer is on fire. She's cooking, right? And she puts chopped dhania patta here. You will get the smell faster. Why? Because of two things. First, it's heating. On heat, the cells get bursted fast and they start releasing the smell. And the second, because she has chopped. So every time she has chopped the coriander into small, small pieces, again the cells in the vacuoles, they got bursted. It started releasing the smell, and, once she puts it in the dish will also become flavorful. So it is to do with the, the aroma will diffuse in the surrounding air. So first the entire kitchen will be surrounded with that aroma. If you're sitting in your room, slowly and slowly the air, because here the air is dense, there are more molecules of this coriander leaves. In your room, for example, in your room, there are less molecules of this dhania leaves. So, there will be an inter-exchange of air molecules till it reaches an equilibrium, where slowly the smell will get a little lighter, it will get diluted, but it will reach the entire house, not only to the kitchen and your room, but to the entire house. But the strength of the aroma will become lighter. Only in the kitchen the strength will be a little stronger in the initial 5-10 minutes, right? So that is diffusion. Diffusion matlab exchange. Now most of the times diffusion in living organisms, this was just a example of diffusion in our day-to-day life, right? But normally you see in living organisms, for example, when we were giving of amoeba, diffusion happens through a medium. There is always a medium, and which is actually semi-permeable. And in case of unicellular organism, it is the cell membrane. Correct? So here, it is less. So here, it will keep on exchanging till both of them hit the same quantity. For example, I'll just give you an example. If, these are two vessels, it has got a lot of aroma in it. It has got less. So it will keep on diffusing. It will keep on diffusing until both the vessels have the same quantity of the substance. The diffusion will keep happening through the semi-permeable membrane. This will be keep on, and once it becomes equal, then the diffusion will stop. Total diffusion will stop once it reaches an equilibrium with both the sides are equal. Correct? That is diffusion. Okay. Priscilla, or maybe Arna, can you please read out the osmosis part? Yeah, the osmosis.
Yes, ma'am. Osmosis. Movement of water through a semi-permeable membrane from high water concentration to low water concentration is called osmosis. Osmosis is a type of diffusion. Cell membrane is a semi-permeable membrane. Substances move across the cell membrane because of osmosis. Seeds swell up when soaked in water because of osmosis.
Correct. Thank you. All right. So this is what I was discussing, that, osmosis is also a kind of diffusion. But diffusion, as I said, is seen in gases. Osmosis is seen mainly with liquids. Right? For example, the chana that normally your mama uses, is very hard. Or for that matter, any dal is very hard. So what does mama do? She soaks it overnight in a vessel full of water. So the vessel is full of water and she will soak the chana overnight. So what will happen? The next day morning, when she sees the vessel, the chanas will have become bigger in size. Right? How does this happen?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the chana soaks the water inside.
Correct. And how will it soak the water inside?
Ma'am, through osmosis.
Through osmosis, correct. But then again, which is the semi-permeable membrane here?
Ma'am, the chana's layer, ma'am. Outer layer.
Correct. Correct. So we normally call it the seed coat. The outer layer, which is dark brown in color, right? And also, you must have noticed that there's this little small thing coming out from here, which is known as the micropyle. Right? Micropyle, you will always, if you see very closely, you will see a small dot, a small pore. So from there, maximum water enters inside. But apart from that, the seed coat is also semi-permeable. It will allow water to enter inside the cell, inside the cell as in inside the seed. So what will happen? The dry seed, if I may use the dry seed which was kind of dehydrated, which did not have water, right? So the water will go inside and it will kind of inflate all the cells. The cells inside the seed will become a little bigger in size. So if all the cells become bigger in size, the total chana will also become bigger in size. Yes or no? When we buy chana from the shops, they don't put it in water. It is all dry. The moment you put it in water, maybe after 2 to 3 hours, you will find that the chana swells up. Or maybe for that matter, even if you put rice, raw rice, after 2 to 3 hours, you will find the size of the rice has become a little bigger. Why? Because all the cells are absorbing as much water as possible, and they are, when they absorb water, they become a little too big. It's like a balloon. Balloon, when you buy it from the shop, it is like this, flaccid. But the moment you fill air in it, it grows in size. So there are thousands of balloons inside the seed, which will all grow up in size, resulting in a swollen chana. Right? You must have also seen when your mama will take the chana, she will use a bigger vessel. For example, if the chana is this much, the next day morning, the chanas will all swell up and to kind of fill up the entire vessel. It will all swell up. Okay. So that is basically osmosis. Through a semi-permeable, these are also basically made out of cells. Till a little while back, before the chanas were plucked from the plant, they were all living organisms. They were all having live cells. It's just that they have plucked, they've processed, if not processed, they have packaged it and they've sold it. But they still have cells in it. Right? So they still have the capacity left to soak in water. Correct? So that was diffusion and osmosis.